All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. So, pleasure, good afternoon one more time, and welcome to day one of Forex Expo. My name is Bassam right here. So, as you can see on the screen, we're holding a panel discussion. It's going to be an estimate of 30 minutes of non-stop talk, of course, and discussion about the topic itself, virtual assets opportunities in the GCC, and how this space is evolving. So we're gonna meet our guest speakers. Let's welcome Mr. Vinay Menon up on stage from VPFX. Let's welcome Gaurang Desai from Equiti. Let's welcome Andreas Kapsos from Match Prime Liquidity. Let's welcome Fotinias from Capital Wallet. I'm not sure if he's here. Let's welcome Serena Sebastiani, the moderator for today. And finally, Vignesh Sundar from TP Global.
Hello everyone, and thank you very much for being here today. Thank you, my panelists. It's very nice to see a bunch of crypto enthusiasts in this hall today. So thank you again. We are going to discuss how the virtual asset space is evolving in the GCC. And I'm going to do this today with my panelists here. I'm going to introduce them to you. Vinay Menon, Head of Research, VPFX. Hello, Vinay.
Hi, Serena.
Gaurang Desai is Chairman of the Dubai Digital Asset Association. Thank you actually for the initiative. It's a great initiative for Dubai. Realized with the Chamber of Commerce, and is Managing Director of Equiti.
Thank you.
Andreas Kapsos, CEO of Match Prime Liquidity. Hello. And Vignesh Sundar, Global Partnership Manager at TP Global.
Thank you so much, Serena.
So let's kick this off. And I'd like to start from the headline of our panel, virtual asset opportunity in the GCC. Why we called it virtual asset? Because we have a lot of words that go around, and mostly people refer to crypto, but virtual asset is not only crypto, right? And let's start from the definition then. What is virtual assets? What are virtual assets? Gaurang.
Thank you, Serena. Good afternoon, everybody. We, like we mentioned at Dubai Digital Asset Association and Equity Group, we just don't believe that cryptos or virtual assets are something which is virtual. Essentially, it represents the technology behind it, the technology evolution behind it, and it would cover the whole range of asset classes, whether it is traditional financial asset classes from securities to the debt instruments to the real estate to commodities, and also the cryptocurrencies, which is going to be a small part of the overall digital asset ecosystem going forward. So, to answer your question, digital asset, virtual assets, there might be a different jargon or the definitions given by different regulators, but it represents a way of enabling the conventional financial assets or the traditional financial assets into digital financial assets.
Thank you, Gaurang. And I think, from what you see also in the Digital Asset Association and all your members, there is a wide set of activities that are run, a wide set of products. So it's definitely not only crypto. We are seeing in the UAE NFT players, we are seeing metaverse players. Is really, tokenized assets, tokenized real estate, and we have a few initiatives One of them is Damak, for example. So it's really a space that is wider, that is growing, and is not only the pure Bitcoin that we were used to refer to. Thank you. And on this, actually, we especially in this region, and the UAE is pioneering these initiatives. We really see a incredible development of this space. Maybe something that the stricter rules in Singapore and Hong Kong have helped as players move out from that region to step in here. But we really see a development. There are new regulators that have been set up, the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, VARA. There are global players that are moving their headquarters in Dubai. And so, I mean, really a space that is developing, that is innovating a lot. I'll actually start from Andreas. I want to ask you, you are not based here, and you see us from Europe, from the outside. How do you see this region evolving? What's your outlook for the next 5 years?
First of all, it's nice to see you all attending, and it's a pleasure to join these gentlemen on the panel. It's nice to be in Dubai again. Now, answering your question, I'm in a positive situation to be able to see how the virtual assets and cryptocurrencies in general are moving in Europe and in Dubai, and undoubtedly we see from our clients as well and the request on the insurance, there is a tremendous demand and interest in the specific products. So I see the future quite positive in that sense. It's very also important to take into consideration how the regulators are treating these assets as well, and how they move forward parallel with the banks as well. For example, I can give you a very nice example. For people in Europe, they would realize that, especially in Cyprus and the regulator, although the regulator sees these assets in a positive way, the banks unfortunately are not paralleling that idea, whereas in UAE it's completely different. There is more positive aspect and positive approach when it comes to those assets, and therefore I believe the future it looks bright in this area. Also, Serena, you mentioned a spot on point actually regarding Singapore and all of these countries not being so interested, if I could say. So this creates another big opportunity for the market here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask maybe Vignesh, your perspective? You're here for your lead initiatives here.
So, if you see, in my opinion, firstly, I would just like to say thank you for this opportunity, and I'm very happy I'm sitting with these panelists, and good afternoon to all of you. So, like Serena was saying and like Andreas was saying, in Dubai right now with VARA coming in really hard, so we have a lot of crypto opportunities and crypto assets coming into Dubai, and the whole virtual asset space is growing in Dubai. Just to take a live example, before COVID, I don't think you had seen a lot of brokerage or any of these advertisements which are mainstream. Now, if you see Mr. Gaurang's company, Equiti, has a metro station, right? So you know the trust is building towards the system, because the more regulations that are involved in right now, people trust the system. They think, okay, something is happening here, we can trust the government because the government is doing this to help us out, right? So that's why a lot of virtual asset opportunities and investments are growing. And if you ask me, I would say the next 5 years is a very crucial time, because we are in the bear market right now, and the brokers or the crypto exchanges, anyone who is lasting this bear market, they are going to be the most resilient ones in the future. That's something I really believe in. So yeah, I think the next 5 years is going to be very crucial for Dubai, VARA, and the crypto and virtual asset space itself.
I totally concur with my colleague here. I was just going to say that we could also see the interest from the people themselves. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, end of the last year, we had around 20 cryptocurrencies offering, whereas now we have more than double. And this is directly correlated. I mean, it's obvious there is demand and it looks bright.
It's very interesting that this panel, in this panel, we actually see different perspective. We have the regulatory perspective with Gaurang, and then we have market players, so really interested represented. Gaurang, I'm actually referring to you in this panel more as chairman of the Digital Asset Association and as an ex-regulator as well, more than in your new role. So with these two views in mind, how do you see the Dubai virtual asset space in the next 5 years?
I think it's the place to be. Time is now. Dubai is one of the only places in the world which has given due focus on this industry and actually has established a separate regulator just to focus on the development of digital asset industry in form of VARA. So we are quite excited, and like Vignesh mentioned, we are a homegrown story, so we are not coming from outside and setting up shop here, but Equiti is born here in Dubai and is a globally progressive fintech broker. So digital asset is obviously a next logical integration for us to extend our product lines. And like I mentioned in my opening remark, it is not just cryptocurrencies. So it's not just 120 top currencies or 500 currencies, but we are looking at much more practical use cases for this industry in form of real estate, commodities, securities, debt, and various other instruments. So we would be more keen on expanding those lines besides the conventional products that you see in the Forex Expo and here in the region. So it's a quite an exciting space for next 5 years. And also like Andreas and others mentioned, the ones who have a strong focus on regulatory aspects, for strong focus on making sure that they have the processes and infrastructure in place to deal with consumers, consumer client-centric approach for how we deliver the services. That is what is going to make the key differentiation going forward.
100%. Thank you very much. Maybe you want to add something?
Yeah, just wanted to add a real life experience as well. So my broker TP Global right now, we are just entering into the virtual asset space because we were forced to, it's like the demand was so high, there was no supply. So they were like, you guys have to enter the virtual asset space. So that's why right now, we are entering the virtual asset space only because of the demand. This just goes to show you what, the virtual asset space is doing out there.
And I think, on this, if you like, on this actually, this is important and linked to what Gaurang was saying, entering the virtual asset space, supporting innovation, enabling innovation, and being part of the wider digital economy. Now, the digital economy in Dubai contributes to 4.3% of the GDP. This means 100 billion dirhams, so approximately $27 billion. It's quite an achievement. I just on Vinay, maybe I'll ask you, how do you see virtual assets affecting the space? How do you see them contributing to this wider objective that is building a digital economy?
So so basically the digital economy I would break down into 3 parts. So you have the infrastructure, which is the hardware, the software, and the IT talents which are coming in. Then you have the e-business where all your applications are made, your platforms are made. And then you have your e-commerce where you have all the buying and selling of goods and services happening online. So the digital economy is a huge space, and virtual assets are going to be a very important part of that space. And the government has a very good initiative of making the digital economy as part 20% of the GDP by the next 10 years. And it aims to add about 40,000 virtual jobs to the metaverse and to the crypto world. So the prospects are very good, and in the last year there have been a lot of developments which have really seen how good Dubai and UAE have been in this space. So you had a company called Quantum Gaming who was based in Scotland, who was contacted by DMCC, and they have now set up their base in Dubai because they were having some tough regulations in the UK, so they shifted their base to Dubai. You had Solana, who was here in January for a 5-day meet, and they also wanted to see the market and know about it. And there's a lot of hype that Solana is probably coming up with the first crypto phone, and that's something very exciting. So if players like Solana and Quantum are looking at the market, there is a lot of scope. Even Polygon has come here and they were speaking highly about Dubai in the Crypto Expo. So there's a lot of aspects and there's a lot of possibilities here.
Thank you. Thank you for the perspective. I would actually agree. Vignesh, please.
No, that's a good point you said. The numbers speak for itself. And I would say that those numbers are the reason why a lot of virtual asset companies are moving to Dubai. Secondly, even if you see right now, even the like another question I think which was continued was, do you see cryptocurrency or virtual assets going into other industries as well? If I would say right now, real estate in Dubai, they started accepting Bitcoin as a payment, which is a huge step because this brought in a lot of investors from different parts of the world. So this is one way Dubai is growing its economy. And another way right now, if you see banking, gaming, even shopping for that fact, everyone's adopting into that virtual asset space. So that is where I would say, Dubai is growing and those numbers speak for itself.
Yeah, I think even Serena can give some knowledge to us, as even PwC just bought some assets on Sandbox some time back. So if you can also enlighten us with your perspective on that, that'll be great.
Who is not establishing in Sandbox?
The 4% actually only shows the upside of the products, to be honest. 4%, I see a huge upside in that sense. I believe the number will increase significantly very shortly.
Well, and I'd like to mention this, VARA, the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, the newly established regulator in Dubai, is the first regulator globally to have a presence in the metaverse. So they're establishing in Sandbox, they're building an VARA hub there. So it's actually, you see how future ready Dubai is trying to be. And actually, on this point, because we mentioned a few interesting things, this whole, the metaverse, crypto entering, virtual asset in general, entering new industries, example, real estate and so on. Now, this space is becoming more and more regulated, and the challenge that players and virtual asset service provider have eventually is always the same, is adoption. So how is, and maybe Gaurang, I'd like to ask this to you, how do you see governments and regulators in the GCC, in Dubai specifically, supporting adoption? So not only focusing on the regulatory framework that we all want to be there, most likely, but also how they're supporting building the ecosystem and related adoption.
So, thanks. Like you rightly mentioned, of course, in the GCC, we have had Central Bank of Bahrain issuing licenses. Some of the players have been present there. ADGM down the road has been present in this space, and they have been working on this for last 5 years plus. VARA, on the other hand, is a unique case, and Dubai, being Dubai, this classic Dubai way, has gone all out to support the sustainable development of this new sector. It's not only VARA, it is also supported by DWTC as a free zone, and also government of Dubai, like you mentioned, Dubai Digital Chambers, digital economy, the framework. They are providing all necessary support to make sure that VARA will be a successful regulator, and also it's not about regulatory arbitrage of any sort, saying if that jurisdiction is difficult, you can come here with an lax jurisdiction, and no. So VARA is putting all the right procedures in place. They have had the MVP phase where they license about 50 firms in this space, and they are going to get out with their final regulations expected, I think, in Q4 of this year. So anytime in couple of weeks to a couple of months. So we will see a whole new set of regulations. But Dubai has demonstrated multiple times over and over. It's a very pragmatic destination. They are all for fostering innovation, not about stifling innovation, but within the boundaries of the system, whether it is AML compliance, whether it is CFT or traceability and the other aspects of crypto or virtual assets that is becoming quite dirty in the minds of a lot of regulators globally. But I think Dubai will show a way to the world in this space and be the innovation leader for this.
And Andreas, do you see the same support in Europe? I mean, we have just seen Mika going out. Do you see the same support from the regulator perspective?
From the regulator perspective, yes. However, as I said before, like other impacts in the business itself, it's not so supportive, let's say. What's very good and what I hear here is the fact that it's important to be proactive. When something comes new, it seems like we have a lot of examples that we can use as an example when we're promoting this new asset. And obviously, if we are proactive here in this part of the world, I am confident that this product will evolve naturally and in a very nice way. Being reactive is always has the threats and the dangers that other products had. So if I had to comment on in Europe, I would say that both the regulators have the appetite to accept these assets the same way. However, I think we need to try to have a collective effort.
Yeah. Agreed. And
so just to add a perspective, so back home in India, there was a study conducted globally that India and UAE are the two countries where maximum respondents are positive towards cryptocurrencies and they are ready to invest in cryptocurrencies. But after the taxation was brought in, the demand has gone down and, the whole buzz has gone down a lot. So I think that just shows that, the way VARA and UAE are planning this, I think that's the right approach, and that is the kind of regulation that even customers are looking forward, where they feel safe and where they feel that they have all the opportunities they need to invest.
I just want to say, I think my panelists will agree with me as well. Compared to other countries, Dubai is trying to maintain that line by making sure both the parties are happy, both the exchanges themselves and the clients at the end of the day, because they don't want to put harsh rules on just the clients or something like that. They're trying to maintain that fine line between them. I think that's what separates Dubai from other countries.
That's a very positive message, I think, and that's very important. I would like to switch a bit, because we have depicted a very sparkling, figures of the virtual asset space, how Dubai is moving, and the support from the regulators. There are also side elements we need to take into account, and we have seen recently the market abuse watchdog in Europe, FATF, actually mandating virtual asset service provider to comply with the regulation, with FATF, and with rules to prevent market abuse, with a focus obviously on digital coins. So this is reflecting in the UAE. The UAE has adopted FATF with a Middle East initiative, so it's FATF Middle East. Effectively, all the rules apply, including the travel rule that most of the market players are still trying to figure out how to manage and how to implement. But yeah, still the issue remains. Dubai, we know that has been included in the AML grey list a couple of years ago. So I want maybe Vignesh, to ask your view on this and what you see as a response, because obviously we see regulators supporting market players, but how is the local response to AML issues?
From my understanding of this issue, I think Mr. Gaurang would be able to give a bit more in-depth analogy, but with my understanding, I understand that it's not just Dubai, but it's also Abu Dhabi who's coming up with their own regulations as well. So they are trying to somehow combat this issue that's going on right now by putting on a bit more harsher regulations, involving themselves a bit more. I think in 2022 they just came up with their own way to handle AML issues as well. I might not be wrong there.
Well, yeah, AML, in Dubai has a federal regulator and then Emirate-specific regulators. So there is the central bank and ESCA as a federal financial sector regulator, and AML is definitely managed by the central bank, overseen by the central bank. Maybe Gaurang with the regulator hat this time.
So in UAE, of course, the grey list is for UAE, it's not for Dubai. So that's one thing of distinction. But UAE, as the progressive regulator, as a national level, we of course have the executive office, AML-CTF under Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that is the federal body which coordinates with all the regulators, including ADGM, DFSA, ESCA, Central Bank, and the free zones, which is one of the big challenges from the FATF perspective. Yes, crypto assets, virtual assets is part of the growing list of concern, obviously, but that is where Dubai, Abu Dhabi and others have taken these steps to make sure that the sector is regulated, sector has the necessary provisions in terms of enforcement, supervision, and also taking penal actions for the violators. So I think UAE is making solid progress in meeting those FATF requirements or FATF concerns, and I'm sure that by next review it should be out of the grey list.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So just to add to Gaurang's point, so I think in terms of regulation, I think the best part is that VARA has come in, and now that all the transactions will get regulated eventually in the next few years. I think that's the best part, because most countries, you had the crypto buzz, you had all of that, and then there was a talk of regulation, which is why it led to a lot of crimes, a lot of AML, a lot of CFT kind of issues. So I don't see those things happening now. Even right now, if you see, there's a group called the Lazarus Group who has been involved in stealing and hacking a lot of crypto wallets across the world. And the US government is looking out to catch them, but it's not as easy because it's in a new technology, it's a new platform. So I'm happy for the fact that the UAE is not facing such kind of issues. And I think with VARA and with all the regulations, I believe that these issues won't affect the UAE and customers will feel much safer here.
Thank you. So we have seen again players coming in the country, support from regulators, penetration, adoption increasing, but we also see on the other side other form of money developing, and I'm referring specifically to CBDC, the central bank digital currency, and this is something that Europe is working on. The UAE is working on, the central bank UAE as a CBDC initiative as well, retail wholesale. Actually, there is a study that demonstrates that 98% of central banks globally are studying or understanding the feasibility of issuing a CBDC. Now, since this is something that is in Europe is already in test phase, is it, Andreas, maybe something I want to address to you, how does the dualism between a central bank digital currency and an ecosystem that by definition is native decentralized as the virtual asset and digital currencies, How do you see them both living together? How does this dualism work?
Undoubtedly, it's challenging. I mean, this evolution needs to be periodic. I mean, it's step by step, obviously. The way personally I see it it's inevitable. I mean, this is the future. So at some point, we need to adjust. Everyone, all departments, in collaboration, obviously, with the government, regulators, banking system, the major players. So it's all combined. It's a collective.
Do you see, I mean, will CBDC cannibalize somehow cryptocurrencies or not? What's, maybe Gaurang?
I think UAE and Saudi has given an very interesting use case for CBDCs, and the project Arbor, which was tested in 2019, is live now with 3 banks, and obviously they were focusing on payment between central banks, the Nostro accounts, and how you can expedite the RTGS part of it, the real-time gross settlement between the central banks, and also within the banks internally in a country, and also externally cross-border payments. So more and more central banks, including the one in India, which has just announced, in European Central Bank has also announced this project. So you will see more and more CBDCs coming into play. And again, on the regulatory side, more and more regulations will be in the place to make sure that the cryptocurrencies or the coins, the payment coins, are more regulated. They have a stronger use cases. There might be a scope for innovation, but you will not have cases where there is nothing to support the use case, and people are just selling coins for the frenzy of speculative purposes and without any economic use. So I think CBDC and adoption of CBDC is going to change this cryptocurrency space, but it will facilitate the digital asset space in a significant way. It will facilitate the digital economy space in a significant way to allow for cashless transactions, the expedited transactions, and risk mitigation for the payments and various other issues in the trade flows.
100%. I would agree with that. I mean, it's all part of a digital economy. Vinay?
Yeah, so the average cost of transactions, almost 0.5 to 0.9% every year of GDP is lost just for the transaction cost, which will completely be taken away once you have CBDCs. And the amount of transparency which is going to go up is going to be very good for the global economy. And I think today the Fed, Jerome Powell just recently mentioned that they are still in the research phase and, they're starting their work. It will be a few years. I think China is really number one right now. They're testing it from April 2020. So probably they'll be the first country who come out with an actual CBDC, and I think the globe will see how it functions after that.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's very, very interesting to see how all this virtual asset space, because CBDC is another case example of virtual asset, contribute to the wider digital economy. How UAE and the GCC is growing in general, and we have heard something from Europe as well. And I think, we are approaching closure of our panel, so I just want to ask my panelists. I want to thank you first. Thank you.
So much,
It's been very interesting and
Thank you.
engaging, and I want to thank you our audience today. And maybe just a quick closing remark on where we'll be in 5 years' time in 3 words.
So Dubai is going to be the Wall Street for crypto. So if you want to be in crypto, you need to be in Dubai.
Amazing. Gaurang.
So the place is Dubai, venue is Equiti.
Andreas.
Well, I cannot go against this, obviously. I hope we have a bright future for these assets everywhere.
I think everyone will, to the moon. That's what I think Dubai is going to go, to the moon.
Thank you again, and I would say innovation is key. We are all contributing to eventually financial inclusion now. So this is the wider, the higher purpose of building a digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.